Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Enigmatica 2 Expert Mode Season 2. And in the last episode, I tried to set up automatic slates with XNet, and I kind of got it working, but not really to the point where I would want it to be. And I've tried and tried a little bit, and I just can't get it working to how I actually want it to function. So we're just going to tear it down, and I'm going to do it a different way, in a way where I know that it's going to work perfectly. Before we begin today's auto-crafting debacle part 2, I want to create a tier 5 blood orb because I have in between episodes made a bunch of sacrifice runes and turned the altar to tier 5 by placing the 52 down at the bottom layer by the beacons, so we can toss this guy in here. Ooh, and you're draining blood way faster than I'm making it. Because of the speed upgrades, I think. Oh! It did do the thing though. Archmage's Blood Orb. Nice. I'm actually gonna grab another one of these and make another one because we are gonna need it for putting the orb into the system and having one for crafting in the storage system over here. So down here, the thing that XNet couldn't do for us and Ender IO conduits with the combination of level emitters will allow us to do is to detect when we're crafting something and where we're not crafting something. So we can detect when we need to input the Archmage's Blood Orb inside of the system and when we need to extract it back out of the altar because we need to craft something. So in the level emitter, we're going to set blank slates, and I decided to increase the number to 1024 and emit when levels are below limit. And I'm going to do the same thing for all of the other ones, but with lower numbers. And over here, we're going to set up an input on signal color red for the red on the blank slate. And then we need a control on the conduit up here. So this is going to be extracting active with signal color red, and we need a filter for blank slates. So pretty much, as soon as it detects that we have a blank slate up there and we don't have enough of it in the system, it's going to start extracting. Reinforced is going to have to be 512 of these, emit when levels are below. Then we're going to have the imbued on 256, emit when levels are below. And here we're going to have the demonic on 128. Emit when levels are below, and this is going to have to be on 64, emit when levels are below. And this should be the only one that turns off. And since we're controlling each one of this on a separate input color, I think it's easiest if we set it up with 5 different inputs, so we can control each one of these active with signal color red, and then we need an insert on one of the phantom faces. It really doesn't matter which one, we just need an insert to be like this and have the living rock in here. And we're going to set an insert like that. So we should be seeing slates going in, or slates being made, at least the blank ones. Don't know why it's not extracting it, because it has nowhere to go. So we need an insert over there. So what we'll do on the down, we're going to say extract on red. And here we're going to say insert on red. And here we're going to say insert on green, like that. So we should be extracting everything that we need to from the top and inserting into the system. So the blank goes in, the stone goes in, like that. Wonderful. So I just need to set up different extracts for all of these. I configured all of these and the system is fully up and running, but I've run into the next snag, which is the requirement of having 5 different orbs in 5 different chests for 5 different channels, which could be the solution to this problem. But the only thing that I'm kind of missing out here is I want to just have a redstone signal that I can detect when any of these is on. So if we're required to craft, I want to be able to detect it and then extract the orb out, do the crafting, and then when this turns off, or all of them turn off, I want to insert the orb back in. And I think we can do that with pretty much basic vanilla redstone. So we're going to move all of this back a little bit so we can sneak in a redstone line right here in the middle, or actually some repeaters, and we can then put some conduits on top and get it done. Setting this up took longer than usual, and I had to work around through a lot of different problems. Firstly, being that redstone lamps, if they're powered by level emitter, they power the lamp next to it as well. So if the middle one was powered, it would power 3 lamps, which would mean it would power 3 conduits, which would be no bueno. So the way we have this now, each lamp has its own input signal color, which triggers the extract for each of the different slates. And that is kind of self-explanatory, I think. I'm gonna keep it here, so it's active with signal color red for the blank slate. And it is on this one for the phantom face, because I have a smaller room here, and I just wanna keep the 5 phantom faces like this, and we're gonna hide everything with facades to make it look nice and pretty. So the other one here is set to active with signal color blue, which is outputted on this redstone lamp. It should be, I put it up, no, it was, showed you the wrong one. This one's green, so this one should be green. And then the next one is blue, and this one is lime, and this one is purple. So each one of the lamps, as you can see, purple, lime, there's blue in the middle, and green and red. And I've over-explained this system way too many times. Anyway, the back part of the system has the level emitters, which each turn on the lamp when they need to craft. And I have this separate redstone conduit over here detecting when crafting is necessary. So it will output a signal on red to these 2 extract and insert conduits. So when we don't have a signal, we're going to extract. Let's explain this better. So this line back here in the setup, we're going to cut again. This back redstone line triggers when any of these lamps turn on, meaning that the altar needs to be ready to craft. So what we need to do when it's ready to craft, we need to extract the orb that is in the altar currently out of the system. So when we don't have the signal, that was again the wrong thing. When any of these lamps turn on, it means that the altar needs to be prepared to craft. And for crafting, we need to extract living rock out of this, and we need to extract the orb out of the altar. So here we have a little bit of a system. On the insert, we have 1 living rock, 1 Archmage's blood orb. On the extract, we have active with signal. On signal color red, we're going to extract the orb out. So as soon as it starts crafting anything, or it's ready to craft, it's going to extract the orb out to free the altar to be able to put living rock into it to make slates. And it's extracting on red and inserting on red right here. So we insert the orb back into the interface so it can be provided again for when the craft is complete. And when the craft is complete, which is when there is no signal coming out of the lamps, we extract the orb and put it into the altar. And over here, all we have is an extract for the living rock. And the insert on black is, the insert on black is a solution for a problem that can happen. Basically, if, let's say I just want to test, I take out half a stack of ethereal slates, the altar turns on, and then I input them right away. We're going to have 1 slate that is going to be left over in the altar that nothing is going to extract, because the extracts on the bottom here are not going to do anything because they're going to be off. So I have the rogue extract for the slate. Basically, when we have no signal over here, we're going to extract all of the slates out of the altar and into the interface. So if we're not crafting anymore, we extract it out pretty much. So over here, if we, let's say, grab half a stack of these slates out, we immediately get a living rock and it starts crafting. So if I toss all of these slates in, it's going to immediately extract out the slate and input in the orb so we can keep our system or our blood network nice and filled up. And it's currently going to be filling up to, very high, I believe. I think we can go up to 10 million in this. So that's going to take quite a moment. But at least now we have a friggin' solution to our problem. So the next problem that we need to solve is when we turn on and off the ritual here. And we can do that by detecting the fluid in the altar with a comparator from Britannia, this guy, the red string comparator. We're going to place him right here. So it's going to detect the fluid in the altar. I think there's also, because wasn't there a fluid detector of sorts? So the next problem that we need to solve is to turn on and off this master ritual in the middle, the master ritual stone, to basically mean that it's only going to trigger when we need some blood in the system. So if we have a full-blown altar here, which can store 42,000 millibuckets, we can, let's say, trigger the altar whenever it's at 10,000 buckets, right? So we're going to detect with the red string comparator, and then I'm going to place a tile here with a comparator on it. And the comparator we're going to set to subtract mode. I'm going to grab a lantern, which we're going to put right here. That's fine. We're going to set this to, let's say, 11. And we're going to put a redstone dust here just so I can see the amount here. So that's emitting redstone 321, 321. Okay, let's set this to maybe like 7. Yeah, I think that's good. And we're going to do a bit of a test. I'm going to grab an interface. This one. We're going to put it right here. We're going to grab our redstone tool. We're going to hook this up to the altar. Because I believe this turns to the altar, to the ritual stone. The ritual stone turns off when this gets a signal, right? So it's signaling 0 now. Let's see, up top, we're draining, and then it's generating a little bit of blood, right? So it's never going to keep the altar completely full unless we need the ritual to be on all the time. So we can tweak the number up top by tweaking this number here. So if we lower it a little bit more, it means the altar is going to get emptied more, I think. Yeah, and then filled up very little. And if we raise the number, let's say to like 10, it means that the altar is going to get drained a little bit and filled up a bit more, I think. We can even go a little bit higher. Maybe 12. Right, that seems to be working. It's going to trigger the cows every so often and do its thing. I'm going to cover this up with a few facades like so to keep it nice and clean. And I think over here on this side, we're going to grab and create a staircase going up to here. And we're going to figure out where exactly we want to come in and out. Probably maybe in front of the sea lantern by 1 block. Let's see if that is okay. If I grab any stairs, I have these. How does you look? We go like this, and then we have to break a few of these. Let's see where we hit our head. This seems to be like a good height. We can go down here without a problem and go back up without hitting our head, and it looks nice and pretty, and now we have access to that. The next access I want to get to is to this room somehow, and I think we can do a staircase somewhere over here. We could probably maybe hook it up to this path, because I never really intended this path to go anywhere and hook to anything. We could make a path from there because we always just fly around, but it could be nice to have a path from going from there, maybe around here. And we can put a staircase, I think, on this side, which can hook up into the path like so, and then put a staircase down here. I decided to switch away from the staircase and go with a proper RF Tools elevator, and I have it functioning without any buttons with just a bit of redstone in the back. And basically what we have is a couple of entity detectors, one over there on top and one over here on the bottom. And the one on the bottom triggers this, actually triggers the top elevator. You can see that if I grab my redstone tool here, like so, you can see that that bottom interface is linked to the top elevator. So as soon as I walk into this 3x3 area right here, we trigger, we get transported up top, and we're stuck here now. And if I walk away, do my thing, like, I don't know, go to the altar, craft something, I don't know, go to base, do another thing. And then I want to come back to the blood magic, I walk here, I get transported down. And that is really cool. So I was having an issue with the elevator triggering right as I came up onto the top. So I had to go with a piston and an observer to just pulse the bottom elevator once we're here. So if I call this up right now, we basically pulse the bottom thing. So you saw the observer trigger, and this bottom one doesn't trigger for whatever reason, the same way that the one on top did. So what happened pretty much is if I had just the regular entity detector up on top, every time I would arrive to the top, it would send me back down again. but it doesn't do it the other way around, if that makes sense. So when I arrive down, it doesn't send me back up again immediately, because I think the elevator cannot be triggered as it's arriving and docking on the bottom station, and it doesn't do the same for the top station. So the only problem with this elevator is its location. I think I want to move it over here on this side, because I have the staircase to go down here to this area. So if I ever need to check on this, or if somebody else is gonna view the world download, for example, they can easily teleport or transport themselves down here and then easily enter here without having to go into this room and then walking through the middle here, through all of this, and then coming back down here. So I think that is gonna make it a little bit better. We could have elevators on both sides, but I think this one isn't really necessary. So we're just gonna do the same thing and put it over there in the corner. I might even just replace that bit with putting the elevator right next to here to the edge, or we can dig it out back a little bit. We'll see how far into the wall over there it goes.
Yes. Yes.
I just turned all the numbers up on the slates, and I realized one mistake that I made. We need an insert on the interface for the phantom faces to be able to even extract out of. So we're gonna hook this up. And I don't know if I can hook it up to the same thing, because we have an insert here on red. Yeah, I mean, it should be fine, because it should just extract everything and put it into here. So if we do that, and we say on the up here, extract on red on all of these. I ran into another issue with our entire setup here, and I have since fixed it, but I want to explain what the issue is. The conduits take redstone signals from blocks next to them. So the redstone lamp that triggers the conduit, it basically is going to trigger it no matter what the signal color is, if that makes sense. So what was happening pretty much is this lamp turned off, we got no signal on color red, and we should have been extracting on signal color black, which is the one that we have right in here, or sorry, signal color green. And what was happening, this conduit that was down here was triggered because of the redstone lamp, not because of the signal red, if that makes sense. So basically this was the setup that was happening. So if I put any blocks in here, that is a signal color red, and it's gonna extract because it has a redstone signal from the redstone lamp. So I have since moved the extract conduits on the top, so they are indifferent to any sort of redstone that is behind them. And on the bottom, we just trigger all of these for all of the different colors, so we can still have the separate line on the back to trigger the orb insertion and extraction. And we basically just take an input from the color that it now is. So if we look at slates now, we are getting an increased amount of reinforced slates, and the blank slates, we just have 1,900 because it made that many. So it really doesn't matter. But now I can actually friggin' call this system nice and complete. I just need to go get a couple more facades, and then we have this room pretty much done. We now have a fully complete automatic slate production system that hopefully is foolproof. We're gonna see if all of the slates fill up until the next episode to all their corresponding numbers that I've set, and we'll see if everything works fine. And until then, we're gonna work on probably some more techie stuff in the next episodes. I need to set up compactors processing all of the different plates, and there is two ways where we could go about this. We could have one compactor do multiple slates, or we could have one compactor per each of the slates. So we'll see how I want to go about this, because we can probably just put them in a compact machine and have all the slates there, have all the gears there, and just do a simple solution, kind of like we did with everything else in compact machines. But that is gonna have to wait until next episode. So with that, I wanna thank you all so much for watching. I'm hoping you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. You can also subscribe to see new videos. You can support me on Patreon as well if you want. And I will see you all in the next episode. Have a great one. Bye-bye.